Yeah, I'll be in Dallas. We don't know exactly where in Dallas, but Schefter, what's the situation there?
Hannah, he'll be on the Cowboys. They're not letting him go anywhere. He doesn't want to go anywhere. And they will work on figuring out a long-term contract that the team has been planning and budgeting for throughout the course of the year. There have been some financial priorities, some off-season priorities for this team, and keeping CeeDee Lamb in the final year of his rookie contract certainly is one. Because he's in the last year, it doesn't create the sense of urgency that it has to get done right away during the offseason. But I think it would be a surprise if somehow, some way, they didn't get a new contract done before the start of the season. Just too much at stake, too many other wide receiver deals that are going to get done. The market will be established. They want to keep him there in Dallas. And again, I think the two sides will figure out a way eventually to get this deal done to keep him in Dallas long term.
Swagoo, I'm imagining that's music to your ears, but if for some reason this doesn't get done, should he consider holding out or holding in?
Listen, I love being on here with Schefter when we start talking about this kind of stuff. I don't think CeeDee Lamb should participate in anything strenuous before this deal is done. Obviously, the possibility of injury. Dallas is going, to Schefter's point, Dallas is going to get this done, and they have a history of paying their guys. I think Dez Brown was the last $100 million wide receiver because of his production and because of what he's earned. And coincidentally, CeeDee Lamb has put himself in that same situation. Now, he has to be smart throughout this process and understand what's at stake, and also a part of the negotiation talks of being abreast of what's going on as far as making headway towards him returning. But I would advise him to be very careful in workouts and probably wouldn't do any mini camps or training camp if this wasn't done until he got his money. And I think that's the advice I would give any player of CeeDee Lamb's stature, especially going into a final year of a contract, when you know that you are responsible for a high percentage of the success and offense in which Dallas has going right now.
Yeah, and their mandatory workouts begin on June 4th. Just something to mark on the calendar there. Obviously, somebody has to throw to CeeDee Lamb. And then there's Micah Parsons. Lots of work for the Cowboys to do. So what can you tell us about Prescott and Parsons, who's entering his fourth season, Schefter?
Well, Hannah, Dak Prescott is the real interesting one. Jerry Jones has been talking about re-signing Micah Parsons since last summer. So eventually we figured that one's going to get done. But there's been no noticeable progress at all between the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, which sets him up to play the last year of his contract and become a free agent after the season. Remember, they can't tag him. They can't trade him. And if they were going to do a deal for Dak, the time to do it always was before the start of the new league year, when free agency was beginning, so the team could then go take its cap savings and spend it on improving the roster. Not only did they not get the deal done by the start of the new league year in mid-March, but they didn't even have any meaningful discussions. They did a simple restructure, saved about $4 million against the cap this year, and that was it. So Dak right now is scheduled to head into the last year of his contract. He's scheduled to hit the free agent market, and it's going to create one more dramatic storyline to follow in a year where a lot of people are under the gun in Dallas. Dak, Mike McCarthy, everybody's in the last year of their contract in Dallas. It'll be a lot of fun for ESPN.
All I got to say is buckle up, everybody. Here we go. I mean, every week is going to be a referendum on this. Tim, who has the leverage here, in your estimation, Dak or the Cowboys?
I think Dak does, because the reality for Dak is that if he were to become a free agent, he would have people signing up to sign him to a long-term deal with a lot of guaranteed money. Look what happened to Kirk Cousins this past year, coming off of an Achilles injury. So, look, Dak's got the leverage, and I think it's important to note that the situation that Dallas is in, I think sometimes people can look at it and say, well, hey, Dak's made a lot of money. Why isn't he doing something to help the football team? We need to remember how this started. Like, there was a point in time where Dak Prescott was the biggest bargain in in all of sports. He's a starting quarterback for the most valuable franchise in the United States. He's making $725,000 as their starting quarterback. Like, they won 18 games over a 2-year stretch with Dak as their starting quarterback, and he made less than $3 million combined. And he basically said, look, I'm going to stare down with Jerry Jones on this negotiation and not take an under market deal for what I've done as a quarterback. And because he did that and because he won, now the Dallas Cowboys are in this situation. That is Dallas's fault going back to 2018, 2019, 2020, not necessarily Dak Prescott's issue right now.
And look, I know the cap number, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is $59 million this year. But at the time, when you looked at a 4-year, $160 million deal compared to the deals that we've seen signed here recently, that was a bargain, even for a guy that hadn't made a lot of money at this point. So, look, Dak has the leverage because Josh Allen has signed a $260 million deal. Joe Burrow has signed for $200+ million, $100 million guaranteed. We just saw it happen with name them. Name any other guys Justin Herbert. Name them. Name the ones, Lamar Jackson, that has recently signed since Dak signed that 4-year deal. And I promise you, Dak is sitting at home right now saying, that's 4 guys that Swagoo just mentioned with $250 million in contract money. Dallas, y'all do what y'all got to do. But the fiduciary responsibility that you have to me is going to be more if you allow someone else to come into play, because they gonna give me $200+ million to come play quarterback for them. It's supply and demand. I don't care what you say about his playoff performances. I don't care about how you feel about Dak Prescott. The fact that he is a top-tier quarterback in this league is going to demand high dollars, and is going to demand high dollars from Dallas or whoever else decides to sign him long-term.
Dak is basically taking a page out of the Kirk Cousins free agent playbook, and he'll have a chance, if he wants, to get to that free agent market to test his value. But it almost feels like Jerry Jones feels like people respond when their backs are against the wall, when they're in the last year of their deal. He could have extended Mike McCarthy, didn't. Mike McCarthy coaching it out. Could have extended Dak Prescott, didn't. Dak's going to play it out. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about Jerry? What are they going to do at quarterback if they lose Dak? That's interesting. And that's why I think the Dallas Cowboys might just be a sleeper team in the quarterback market during the draft. Because at some point in time, they might have to draft a quarterback higher than you'd think at some point in time, because Dak is going into the last year of the contract, and it might be time to get somebody in there to start grooming him. Just like they found Dak Prescott in round 4, might be time to go find another quarterback in another round to begin to get him ready.
I mean, we could be looking at a Green Bay Packers type situation. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. I want to go back to this playoff record for a second because Swagoo brought it up, and of course, we've seen guys like Kyler Murray, Lamar at the time. I mean, Deshaun Watson, best example of all. Guys who don't have playoff success. But Dak is 2-5. And for Jerry Jones, we know the clock has been ticking for a while. He wants that Super Bowl title. I mean, what is the missing piece here? And does that playoff record matter, Tim?
Yeah. In terms of your contract, no, it doesn't. Plain and simple. Like, we can say, like, hey, you need to play better in the postseason. That's great. Hannah, you said it. Like, you can do the same thing. Deshaun Watson, you can do the same thing. We can talk about Kyler Murray, guys that got new contracts. Lamar Jackson, yes, league MVP, but the playoffs have not been great to Lamar Jackson. So I think you can run down the list, of guys, including Josh Allen. So, look, does it matter? Yeah, of course it matters. Everybody wants to win in the postseason, but you can go look at the lack of postseason success for any of these guys. And don't forget, let's not forget, there was a period in time where a guy named Peyton Manning didn't have the best postseason success. So, that really has never been an impediment in terms of paying a guy a contract that he deserves when the sample size of who he is as a quarterback through a regular season is proven through that size versus 1 or 2 playoff games.
Yeah, Tim, and look no further. Schefter mentioned it. Kirk Cousins just got $100 million guaranteed. Last time I checked on my Apple Watch, he ain't blew the playoffs out the water either when he got in there. So it is more about what you do in the regular season when teams feel like this is a guy that we can pay because at least we will get in the tournament and have a shot to win it. That is the psyche of these front offices, not the other way around.
But as if there isn't already the pressure of expectation that there always is on the Cowboys, now this is going to be a slow slog of week by week. Are they dead in the water? You know, what's happening with the coach? What's happening with the quarterback? Make or break. I mean, that is just... wow.
Schefter, tell these people something good down here in Dallas, man. I'm struggling to give them good news.
It just never ends.